invite the moderator for the first session to prepare for the first plenary session. Please come to the stage, Dr. Anda Sartia DP, MAD, PhD. Well, she is a lecturer in Public Health Department at Halu-Oleo University. She was graduated from English Language Literature at Hasanuddin University in 1986. She continued her study in Educational Training and System Design, the University of Twente, the Netherlands, and she continued her study again in University Melbourne, Australia, PhD in Public Health. Please come to the stage, Dr. Anda Sartia, MAD, PhD. Well, for your information, the first plenary session, there will be 3 keynote speakers. The first keynote speaker is Dr. M.P. Reddy, which will be joined us via online, via Zoom, with the topic Advanced Materials for Energy and Environment and Sustainability. And then the second keynote speaker, Dr. Rene Vandenberg, with the topic The Muna Language, Past, Present, Future. And the third keynote speaker is Professor Pranab Kumar Pandai, with the topic Transformative Leadership in Public Administration, Navigating Global Challenges for Sustainable Governance. Okay, for Ibu Sartia, time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Allow me to speak English because this is the international conference. So maybe in the discussion later we can actually have a Godabado if we need it. Honorable the Director of Postgraduate University Halu-Oleo, I'm very sorry. Honorable for the Vice Rector, I think he left already. The Honorable all the Dean of faculties in Halu-Oleo University, Honorable for the speakers. In this case, I would like to, my turn for the first plenary, as moderator or MC informed us that we have 3 speakers, Dr. M.P. Reddy, and Dr. Rene Vandenberg, and Professor Pranab Kumar Pandai. So, Honorable all the participants of the International Interdisciplinary Seminar today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sartia, the moderator of this first plenary session. I'm pleased to see you all here and welcome all of you in this international seminar. We also we welcome our Excellency keynote speaker for the first plenary session. Well, the first speaker is already, hey, hi, Dr. Randy, are you ready? Hi, thank you very much. Allow me to introduce Dr. Randy first before giving the chance to speak or to share the presentation. Dr. M.D. Randy obtained his PhD in 2003 in the area of material science and engineering with the highest distinction from the University of Bordeaux, France. From July 2003 to May 2019, he worked at the Department of Materials Science and Engineering, Chemistry and Physics, the National University of Singapore. In 2019 and to August 2021, he had worked at the Center of Excellence in transportation, electrifications, and energy storage in Canada. So currently, Dr. Reddy working is a senior professional researcher and a leader in energy storage technology in Nelson Monde Graphite in Canada. Dr. Reddy, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. M. Verity from New Graphite World, Montreal, Canada. Today, I am going to discuss on advances in materials for energy, environment, and sustainability. I'd like to thank the conference organizer, Dr. Albert, and all the first international interdisciplinary conference organizers. From Universitas Olio, Indonesia. So I would like to thank all the including reactor and the director for postgraduate studies for organizing, for supporting this type of excellent conference. In fact, I've seen the conference program. It looks like this conference is interdisciplinary area, both science, engineering, and management. So that in my presentation also I'm going to mention what are the importance of interdisciplinary research, both science and in engineering and management. So before it clearly shows that I had a long history. I did my PhD from France, and then I was at almost 17 years at National University of Singapore, followed by Canada. So before, I would like to see these are the very interesting, beautiful seasons. 4 seasons. As you can see, some extreme low temperature and also some beautiful seasons, and we can see the color changes, etc., depending on the month. So this is my outline of my presentation. So before I would like to mention what are the importance of research. In fact, in Singapore, I've trained with various students, starting from the area of science and engineering. So it clearly shows the importance of research, and we published various publications, both Scopus and EACS journals. So some of my students have been presented at various conferences held in Singapore and also a few conferences held in overseas. It clearly shows that what are the importance of for example, how the so, how the outreach is very important. In fact, we have been trying at various, including that outreach program with local students as well as some Indonesian researchers. So this is my small group at Singapore. It clearly shows that so with various PhD students have been trained. And regarding my collaboration, as you can see clearly, so with with the international group of Singapore and also with Indonesia, so I've been collaborated at the various universities, including ITP and few other universities. So, although my research interests are on lithium batteries and all metal-ion batteries and supercapacitors and materials, so today due to time limitations, I'm going to focus on what are the importance of lithium batteries, how interdisciplinary research is very important, both the science and engineering. So regarding materials, I think all people are using materials from the long time, from starting from stone, copper, iron, and rubber, silicon. I think silicon age is one of the important age. I think we have been interesting discoveries happened. For example, vacuum tubes, computer, keep on. Now you can see the miniaturized devices, etc. Again, composite materials, functional materials. Again, there is an interest in the nanotechnology year 2000 and molecular age, and again intelligent and low carbon age. It clearly shows that always you see that all the research, whatever we do future, always we have to protect the environment and we have to reduce the pollution. That is very important. As I mentioned, that energy, environment, and healthcare and water technology is one of the hot areas of interest. As you can see clearly, how the importance of the materials. The materials are broadly classified based on the utilities. For example, construction technology also varies depending on how they're going to use. So it will vary depending on what type of thing, technology and electronic materials. And if you want to be smart materials for engineering, means supervisor, and or if you want to talk about the more on physical properties, physics, you can see interesting optics. Or today I'm going to talk about the energy storage materials that are used in electric vehicles, etc. So regarding that the environmental, I told you that it is very important. I think always it is irrespective of civil engineering or any areas, construction it will adopt the technology to be based on the direct climate conditions. That's why here there is a huge extreme low temperature. So that's why they need insulation. Mainly wood also they use it as a construction materials. So again, we won't give much further pollution. Again, as you can see, importance of steel, or for example, aerospace applications, as you can see, the carbon fibers, because of lightweight materials that are used in the various applications, that clearly shows that importance of this aviation industry. Again, if we talk about glass industry, you can see that the very interesting optical science, for example, electrochromic devices are smart prism. Again, there is a lot of advancement is also happened. So, in general, research is needed on the smart materials that can use it by energy, environment, and depending various other applications. Again, if you talk about the smart materials for a building, again we need a heart because now people are talking about the smart city applications. We need a smart lighting, and again the very need a all very interesting. Again, heating and cooling system is very important. Flexible organic material because presently silicon technology is expensive. People are looking for the photovoltaic membranes because of the polymer based. Again, we can reduce the cost of the materials. Again, resistive switching memory applications that are used in the thin films. Again, this if you talk about sensors, there is because if you talk about autonomous electric vehicles, lidar sensors are expensive. We have to reduce the cost of this one. Again, 2D, 3D materials, advanced material for 6G terahertz electronics, and smart material for 5G. As you can see clearly, again, if you talk about electrical engineering, there is a smart chargers, and again, the CO2 capture. Again, if you talk about computer science or information science, is called as automation, called as the multi-scale modeling. So it clearly shows that So, regarding to talk about the renewable energy, as you can see clearly, what are the importance of renewable energy? As you can see clearly that so if you talk about the different type of the renewable, if you talk about solar, wind, and hydro, photo, and mechanical and nuclear, etc., all are we call as a renewable means we don't emit any further greenhouse emissions. Again, places like India or Indonesia are now well, there is huge amount of solar energy. Again, if with hydro means there is a lot of water is needed. Again, the here main source is hydroelectricity. Again, batteries, if you talk about any major cities, 30 to 40, 50, 60% of pollution is from four-wheelers. That's why people are able to reduce the car, we have to replace the gasoline vehicles by the battery operated one. Again, if you talk about energy, environmental science and engineering is interdisciplinary. It needs the basic sciences, for example, physics, chemistry, materials, science, and engineering. Or if you talk about engineering, material, mechanical, electrical, triple E, and information engineering and civil engineering. At the end, we need a good management also is very important because in order to run, we need a good industry. We need so it clearly shows that it is a interdisciplinary research. So, what are the importance of energy storage? As you can see clearly, you want to store the solar or wind or any other type you need as affordable batteries. We call a grid storage. So again, idea is that to reduce the CO2 emissions, and also we can see there is a huge slowly rise of the crude oil prices. Automatically, we need other renewable sources. Other consequence of CO2 global impact, as you can see, the slowly rise of the temperature that will lead to unpredictable rains, and then again the climate changes, etc. That's why always you have to protect the environment. So again, if you talk about the autonomous electric vehicles, again, you can see there is a here I want to tell you that we need a if we want to be autonomous driverless vehicles. So again, we need to understand it will use lidar and AI and then artificial intelligence and then different type of sensors. So really, it is an interdisciplinary overall summary that we can reduce the fuel consumptions and then we can reduce mainly traffic congestion as well as a especially vehicular reduction of vehicular crashes, etc. So why I'm mentioning that you can see any autonomous electric vehicles, it is contains there is a lidar and different type of cameras. It's clearly interdisciplinary. So idea is that we want to talk with electrical engineers and computer science and automobile and mechanical engineering, including that's why it clearly shows that there is a lot of opportunities with the different type of companies are investing. So now coming to the what are the importance of energy storage, for example, so batteries, you can see this type of pouch cells are using in our iPhones and cylindrical cells and future and with electric vehicles, we try to put this type of 18650 to put in individual different type of cans and cell. Finally, we get a module and finally they put it in the big type of the back electric vehicle. Always keep in mind that if not run with real electric vehicles, always management of means thermal management. It is very important. You want to be smart charging. That's why there is a huge interest in the electrical engineering or sensor and automobile engineering. So again, we have to talk with the especially your engine and then battery. Again, you have to all are interdisciplinary, although it is very complex once you go to the real industry. So typically, you may see the how many number of cells, nearly 7,100 cylindrical cells they used to put in your typical Tesla vehicle. Always now main objective is that people want to reduce the cost or reduce the weight, only way to the increasing the doubling the energy density. I'm going to discuss what are the important components in this particular electric vehicle are packed in the future presentation. Again, 2019 Nobel Prize is given with one of the well-known Nobel laureates, Professor John Goodenough and few others. It clearly shows that importance of the batteries are. So these are the both science and engineering students have been contributed. So what are the important battery components? It contains there is a cathode and anode, and there will be a separators. Usually cathode we call as a lithium layer type lithium. If you talk about lithium batteries, you need lithium containing organic oxides. If you replace by sodium batteries, you need sodium containing oxide or potassium, etc. Anodes we call as the negative electrodes. Usually the graphite is a mainly commercially used carbon-based materials as a commercial scale. And in the laboratory, people can do either lithium or if you talk about sodium, potassium, etc. Again, charge means oxidation, anodic scan. The terms we can use, and reduction means cathodic scan, negative current, and the electrolyte is a medium to pass one side to another side. Current collectors and binder, it is needed to stick your material in the appropriate current collector. So principle of lithium ion battery is shuttling between the lithium ion from one side to cathode to anode, where the electron will pass to an external circuit. During discharge, the reverse reaction is occurring. So typically when a voltage versus capacity, difference it is discharge when it's charged, there is a voltage of the cell multiplied by capacity is the energy density. So it is always, it is very important if it is reversibility, you have to get a positive and negative current. So it clearly shows that it is a secondary rechargeable batteries. What are the important smart material or advanced material looking for electric vehicles? Always keep in mind that adapt the climate conditions. It is very important. It has work low and high temperature and high energy density and power density is very important. Long cycle life and reliability is very important. So sometimes whatever the kilometer, if you, for example, if you mention them almost some 300, it has to work accordingly and good coulombic efficiency, lower impedance and fast charging. I think these are very important points. I think people are like, yeah, three important points are really people are interested after solving all this one. We have to look for more safer material, low cost, no toxicity and sustainability in recycling. I think always is very important to take into consideration. What are the importance of nanotechnology? Why we have a problem? For example, if we talk about fast charging, why it is not possible? We can do a chargers. Chargers are there. You can do 6 minutes also. The reason is that if you do it the fast charging, all material may not participating in the electrochemical cycling. As a consequence, there is called the mass transport efficient. So as a consequence, lithium plating will occur again. So it is really challenge in this particular area. That's why keeping depending on the battery manufacturer, battery packs always they use per 1 to 2 hours so that in order to get a maximum capacity and to avoid the safety. So because of the high voltage, that's why lithium batteries are used in the various applications. Now, what are the important point you to consider? Because now all batteries want to be used it for all applications. Always you to look for the raw material like nickel, manganese, cobalt, iron. These are important material for electrolyte and graphite for anodes, and these are the polymer, neodymium, dysprosium for permanent magnet. Usually, we first starting from mining and processing. We need a raw materials. For example, you can see cobalt-based minerals are expensive and nickel is less. That's why if you see that most of the mineral, luckily Indonesia is a huge amount of reserve. Example, nickel is a huge amount of nickel in Indonesia. So, and few other minerals. That's why it is a nice opportunities. Again, the component processing and manufacturing, cell pack. Again, it is always at the end, it is recycler. It means that a circular economy, recycling is very important. So again, if you talk, since my specialty is a graphite, we know that graphite, we can use it for various engineering applications, for example, paint industry, storage, sensors, and refractive materials for graphite crucible, high temperature gasket, civil engineering, CO2 capture and fuel cell. It clearly shows that one material is a lot of still as a researcher, depending on expertise, people can focus with one particular thing. Now, quickly, I'll go through what are the importance of the materials. For example, material manufacturing and characterization techniques. For example, depending on applications, what type of research you're doing, you have to look for the structure composition, identify the properties and processing, and we need appropriate fabrication or processing techniques is very important, followed by various characterization techniques. Although we have, for example, they are the different materials have different shapes already available in the, so we can get by either by chemical methods or sometimes we are a physicist, we can do thin films with the various sputtering technique, or if we are mechanical engineering or material manufacturing, we need hard press and additive manufacturing, 3D printing and spark plasma sintering. Again, there are very interesting things is opening with especially in terms of the engineering. Again, we have to characterize them. We need advanced characterization techniques, for example, structure and morphology and all. That's why it's very important. Luckily, at NUS, we have been and various characterization techniques have been developed. It is very important. Always keep in mind that we have to take into consideration. So always keep in mind that micro batteries are very important. For example, you want to be smart miniaturizer applications for the all smart card applications. We need a micro batteries. Due to time, I'll go through some few examples. Maybe why these are the cathode side, these are anode side. You see that these are the various layer type lithium NMC, different type of composition are used in cathodes. For anodes, only graphite as a anode material. So quickly, I'll go through usual way that you can make a electrode materials. So usual way that they can make a active material binder, and finally coating, calendaring, and finally they can fabricate in glove box. What usually the industry, so everything is automated, mixing everything is continuous process. Finally, once you've done that one, then again they can idea we need a huge amount of money. So to time limitations, I'll go through one example since I don't have much time. With the layer type cathode materials, and we try to prepare the materials by the simple carbothermal reduction method approach. Here, carbon acts as a reducing agent. So this will show that the importance of the crystal structure of these materials. We characterize them well, and then you see the battery, how long the battery is going to last, and you see the cycling, and also at the end among three cathodes, this top one is interesting materials. It clearly shows that the importance of the potential that will determine the things, and we can do either we are physicist or chemist, we can understand the structures of the institute technique, etc. Always keep in mind that usually energy density means nearly 4.2 volts you have to get, means always, whereas 3.5 volt means always really nearly. Why? Because the sodium based system has a lower energy density when compared to the lithium. So that's always keep in mind that. What are the importance of the multi, for example, if you talk about the environment or any Other applications, we need environmental sensors. For example, you have to see the automobile sensors, or you need to detect the temperature. Again, the materials will play an important role. That will see if you want to detect the different type of gases, because this is very important. And then, so that's why it is very important. We need a appropriate sensor. That's why materials will play an important role. Again, if you have some nanostructured materials, for example, supercapacitors also we can use. So again, quickly, maybe another 5 minutes, quickly, I'll ending up saying that what are the importance of the thermal runway, because the batteries are catching fire, that will lead to the flammability, alkylate, oxygen release, and intrinsic nature of the material, and lithium plating occurs, and also due to malfunction of the electronic circuit. So always keep in mind that especially, so there is huge, the safety arises due to the, for example, fire arises to the cathode, anode, and separate anode. That's why it is always is very important, always in terms of a lot of engineering aspects has been taken into consideration. If it's anode side, that's why those rapid charging and charge, these are also very important. They cannot do very fast charging, etc. And again, the cathodes, the overcharging is also not good, and also that will lead to the IX cathode decomposition, that thermal runway. And also there is a reaction with electrolyte. Especially electrolyte failure, also you can see that, especially see that also leads to thermal runway, and separator mechanism also. Again, that is also will lead to the failure in the, especially clearly shows that it is very important that all the factors you have to take into consideration. That's why we need the appropriate current collector. It clearly shows the importance of this very is entrancing safety. All this one clearly shows that the interdisciplinary, both mechanical engineering and material engineers, including electrical engineering, all engineering point people have to work in real devices. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reddy, for the presentation, which is quite comprehensive. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before moving to the second presenter, I would like to remind you that the questions answers will be delivered after the third of the three of the presenters presented the paper. Well, before moving to the second speaker, I would like to underline the speech or the presentation for the Dr. Teddy. The topic is advanced material for energy and environmental and sustainability. Well, there are 5 key points he mentioned. Is the keyword is talking about renewable energy industry, how to solve the present environmental problem, and then he actually addressed need green renewable clean energy technology, and then he also underlined the importance of energy storage industry. And also the next point is autonomous electric vehicle industry, and the last point is related to his comprehensive research related to the energy vehicle, focusing on battery research. The principle of battery research for electronic vehicle, and then ending with the mining industry, advances and disadvantages for his research. That's all the underline for the Dr. Reddy's speech. And now I would like to invite the second speaker for the first plenary session, Dr. Rene van der Berg, with the topics the Muna language, past, present, and future. The floor is yours, Pak Rene. Pak Rene, Dr. Rene van der Berg is a linguist from the Netherlands. He did his PhD in 1989 on the basis of grammar of the Muna language. He is a senior linguistic consultant with SEAL International, currently living and working in Papua New Guinea. Wow. Okay, he has published extensively on the languages of Sulawesi and the languages of Papua New Guinea. He is married to Lydia, and they have 2 boys and 3 grandchildren. Okay, Dr. Rene, the time is here.
Assalamualaikum. My name is René van den Berg. I'm from the Netherlands, and today I will talk about the Muna language, past, present, and future. It's an honor for me to be here today and to talk to you about Muna, a language that I've been involved with since 1985. And a special thank you to the organizers of the conference for inviting me. It's an honor for me to be here and talk to you. Next. In this short presentation, I will try to cover the following topics. First, an introduction on the languages of Southeast Sulawesi, then about the Muna language, the past, the present, in 2 parts, and then the future. The province we are currently in is Southeast Sulawesi, which is home to 23 vernacular languages, according to the Ethnologue, which is the most comprehensive database on the world's languages. Some of the major languages are Muna, Tukang Besi, Tolaki, and Wolio, the first 3 of which each have several 100,000 speakers. The black arrow there points to Muna, Wambawuna, Witenowuna, spoken on Muna Island, our topic today. But there are also various small languages in this province, not well known. I just mentioned 2 here, Bahasa Waru and Bahasa Liabuku, both with very few speakers. Let's not forget those languages. The past of the Muna language is largely unknown. It must have been spoken for hundreds of years, but we do not know when exactly they came. The language was never written down, unlike Wolio, and there are no historical records. But from comparative linguistics, we know that Muna is a member of the Austronesian family, a large language family of about 1,200 languages that's spoken across Southeast Asia and the Pacific. More specifically, Muna is part of the West Malayo-Polynesian branch, and it belongs to the Celebic subfamily, together with all the languages of Southeast and Central Sulawesi. Its closest neighbors are found in the Muna Buton group. Here is a map of the Austronesian language family with its extremities. Taiwan in the north, Madagascar in the west, New Zealand with the Maori language in the south, and Easter Island in Polynesia in the far east. This is a huge language family that Muna is part of. In fact, all the languages of Sulawesi are Austronesian. When we talk about the past of Muna, there are many questions that cannot be answered. When did the Muna people reach Muna Island? Nobody knows. Was there maybe a pre-Austronesian population? Again, this is unknown. There are beautiful and intriguing cave paintings, such as shown here from the caves at Liangkobori, showing hunting scenes, boats, weapons, horses, and kites, possibly even the oldest kite painting in the world. But who made them? And when? In spite of considerable research in the past 40 years, definite answers have not been given. My own take is that the paintings of boats definitely points to Austronesians, and the presence of horses points to a relatively recent date, not thousands of years ago. Horses are not native to Indonesia, and they were not introduced in the country until around the 8th century AD. So some of these cave paintings are relatively recent. Moving on, let me mention 3 people who've been important in the history of the description of the Muna language. The first one is a Dutch person called Nicolaus Adriani. He was a specialist in the languages of Sulawesi in the early part of the 20th century, And he was the first one to write in Dutch about Muna, some 14 pages. The second one was Pak Hanafi. Over 50 years later, in 1968, he was the first Muna native speaker to write about his own language. He did a BA thesis. And then even later, Laude Sidhu Marafat is another native speaker who's written extensively about Muna, and he can be considered a real pioneer. He did his BA, MA, and PhD thesis about the Muna language. One last slide about the past of the Muna language. Like many languages, Muna is full of loanwords. Loanwords show foreign influences, like layers of an archaeological dig. Here are a few examples. From Sanskrit, we have arata and dosa. From Arabic, we have adamu and barakati. From Wolio, we have adara and feili. From Portuguese, we have sicola and kahitela, rotinefuma. From Dutch, we have dottoro and deboro. And from English, we have golu, goal, but now meaning football, and senso, chainsaw. So like many other languages, Muna has borrowed, but most of those borrowings have come on through Indonesian Malay. But some actually came directly from Dutch, such as this Deboro, Buseese, Landibo, Benando Sigahano Dua. Let's now move to the present. I will cover several structural features of Muna, of the language now, dealing with phonology, sounds, morphology, structure of words, syntax, the position of words in the sentence, and language vitality. The phonology of Muna is relatively straightforward. Muna has only 5 vowels and 25 consonants. The syllable structure is also quite simple, just vowel or consonant vowel. But Muna has various interesting consonants, including 7 pre-nasalized consonants, mb, nd, ng, as in ndoke, monkey. There is also a bilabial plosive, ba, as in the word bake, banka. It's written as BH. There is also a specific sound, a dental plosive, da, as in the word adara, dambu, danku. There's also a voiced uvular fricative written GH, ra, as in orai, norai, nerora. And then vowel sequences, a, I, awa, eo, as in fa, and bokueo. All of this does not exist in Indonesian, and it does not exist in English. This makes Muna a really unique language. The morphology of Muna is even more complex. Muna is a so-called agglutinative language, meaning you can stack up parts inside a word. Many prefixes and suffixes can be added on either side. I'm going to give an example from the verb rato, which means to arrive, here presented with a selection of various inflected forms. Arato, prefix a, I came or I come. Norato, he comes, he came. Noratomo, he has come. Narumato, he will come. Notice an infix there. M straight into the stem. Sisipan. Narumatomo, he's about to come. Dosiratohamo, they came suddenly. And then Tadosikaratohamo, they came suddenly. The other one was they came together. This is intriguing and fascinating, much more interesting than the morphology of Indonesian and English. Again, this makes Bahasa Muna pretty unique. The syntax of Muna also has various complexities. I'm going to give just one example. It's the multifunctional word be. When we ask what the meaning of be is, people most will say and or with, which is true. It's a coordinating conjunction. Inano be amano, his mother and his father. But it's also a so-called commitative preposition, with. Amai be anaku, I came with my child. But that's not all. It's also a comparative marker that we can translate it as then. Abala enodi behintu. Ailanke enodi behintumu. I'm bigger, I'm taller than you are. And it's also finally a resultative preposition, which I've never seen anywhere else. No bari no fekiri, no bungi be fortuno. Kira-kira na pulo enodi. He thinks a lot, therefore he is bald. The use of a preposition in this sentence, I've never seen that in any other kind of language. So that's pretty unique again. Moving on, lexically, lexicon, that's the dictionary, the words. Muna is also extremely rich, with dozens of specific lexical items covering things such as break, hit, carry, and wash. For instance, there are 7 words for to wash, mencuci. De rome, wash dishes. De tofa, when you're washing clothes. De vanu, when you wash your hands or your feet. Yeah? Semuanya cuci dalam bahasa Indonesia. But that's not all. De reru, wash your face. Denkulu, wash your hair. De wului, rinse after washing dishes. And de londu, rinse your mouth. Cuci mulut. All of this is cuci in Indonesian, but look at the variety in Muna. This again is unique and makes Muna a very special language. Moving on to a sadder point, language vitality. In spite of everything, Muna is a threatened language. Bahasa yang terancam. Why? It's a level 6B on the endangerment scale. That means that people over 40 usually can speak the language, but that most people under 40 have difficulty, and that many children no longer learn to speak the language. The long-term prospects for Muna as a living language are not good. Over the years, since I've been involved with Muna, I've noticed several danger signs. Parents who are both Muna and who speak to each other in Muna will speak to their children in Indonesian. This is not happening just in Raha, it's now happening all over the island, even in remote villages. There is also extensive loss of traditional literature. Tula-tula, kabanti, traditional poetry, wata-watanke, riddles. In this day and age, who is still telling stories? Who is still telling the stories of ando-ando kebe akapo-kapuluka? Who is still telling the stories of Wandui-dui? Who knows the story of Lanta Apo-Apo? Are there still people telling those stories? I'm afraid not. There's also a lot of loss of traditional natural and cultural terms. Who still knows the names of the stars, the constellations, Gugusan Bintang? Who still knows the name of trees and shrubs, but also traditional containers and musical instruments? Here's a slide showing various traditional musical instruments from Muna. Ombololo, Oganda, those are still well known, the gong and the drum. But what about Kapupu Rapi or Kusapi, a boat lute and a double clarinet? Only a handful of these instruments are still in use, the rest is forgotten, and even their names have sometimes disappeared. Nobody remembers them. But this decline is not the whole story. Much has been done in the area of description and documentation and development, and I will mention several efforts in this area. You see here pictures of a Muna grammar, that's my own dissertation, a spelling guide, and also 2 dictionaries, a Muna Indonesian and an Indonesian Muna dictionaries, each of them several hundred pages. There's also a specific website dedicated to the Muna language, with grammar, linguistic articles, trilingual stories, and some cultural material, such as the King's inauguration oath, Kabatatala Hauno Putawuna. Attempts have also been made to make the Muna language a school subject as part of Muatan Lokal. Most recently, Laude Adili has written 6 primary school textbooks. Mai Poguru Wambawuna. Let's learn the Muna language, using Indonesian as a basis. The quality of these books is excellent, but the big question is, are they actually used? And why is the local government on Muna so lukewarm? Suam-suam kuku terhadap perkembangan bahasa Muna. Another initiative is the online publication of a trilingual Muna Indonesian English dictionary with over 11,000 entries at webinary.org. This is also available as an application for handphones, and there's also a pirated version. After all, we're in Indonesia. A very promising development is the use of Muna in social media. A Muna lady called Ikon has an Instagram account where Muna speakers have bilingual discussions in Muna and English on Muna folk stories. Here is an example of such a discussion on the story of Ando Andoke Bear Kapu Kapuluka. In English and in Muna. Very interesting. In the area of translation, there have also been various efforts. Bapak Haji Alimuddin Silai produced a Muna translation of the Quran based on Indonesian with copious footnotes explaining his choices. This book is currently being printed and should appear later this year maybe. In the southern dialect of Muna, next one, a translation of the New Testament was published in 2004 under the title Bihita Meta Podandi Abu O. The book is used in church services in the southern part of Muna around La Capera and neighboring villages. We now move to the last section. What is the future of the Muna language? In my opinion, there are 3 important questions that need to be asked. Where will the Muna language be in 50 years from now? What are the major research needs? And what are some helpful language development and revitalization strategies? Where will the Muna language be in 50 years? Will these teenagers from a school in Pure still be speaking Muna to their children and their grandchildren in 50 years? The signs are not positive. History tells us that language shift is usually non-reversible. Something unique will be lost, I'm afraid. A unique language with sounds, morphemes, meanings, literature, a way of thinking and conceptualizing the world. What is needed at this point is research and development. So what are the major research needs? Let me present my personal perspective. First of all, we need to find out about the actual number of Muna speakers. Active, passive, semi-speakers. Do we really know? Dosehai. Ampa itu. Mandehino Wambawuna. Kabarindo? Na petolo mo kono ribu? Na peramo kono ribu 50? Sehai. Mina be manehania. Mina natipande hawa. Yeah? So, in my opinion, we need to find out how many people actually speak the language. In Muna, in Kandari, in other areas. We need to find out about the exact endangerment status. In each village, it may be different. We also need to study the dialect situation. In southern Muna, the dialect situation is very complex. Gu, Lakudo, Mawasanka, including sounds, morphemes, lexicon, intelligibility with northern Muna dialect. These are all important issues. Recordings, we need to record oral literature. We also need, while there are still people who remember folk tales, legends and stories, we need recordings of oral conversations, just ordinary day-to-day dialogue. And we need an update of the Muna English Dictionary with pictures, identification, terms of fish. Kabarino ne hino kenta, kamakasi gami na daman ni hani ohai wamba malauno, ohai wamba ingresino. Peda modoa ne hino kambulo, ne hino sauve karuku. So that's what's needed too. Let me offer 6 possible language development and revitalization strategies. For one thing, we need to start with a Muna library. Sekarang sudah ada perpustakaan daerah di Raha tapi belum diisi. Jadi, we need to create a place where everything about Muna is available, about the language, all the books, all the literature, so that people can access it. We also need more public signs in Muna, on the roads. Here is an example. Lampu Kapometametaha, yeah? Rumah Perdamaian, House of Reconciliation, Restorative Justice. That's beautiful. We need more of that. Public signs in the public arena. We also need to have more language learning lessons. Why not create a YouTube channel, Maimodopoguru Wambawuna, with 10-minute language learning sessions? A few more ideas and then I'll be done. A study program for local languages here at UHO, an S1 jurusan Bahasa Daerah. Also, an official appointment of Muna language teachers in primary and secondary schools, Guru Bahasa Daerah. And finally, an official body to standardize terms. Banyak orang bertanya saya, apa? Kalau kepala sekolah apa? Kalau penyerahan apa? Kalau selamat pagi di Muna apa? Kalau selamat datang apa? Bukan saya yang menentukan itu. Ya? Jelas, saya orang luar. That has to be people together, a group of people untuk membentuk, untuk standarisasi istilah peristilahan. So we need to have people coming together to say what actually is kepala sekolah. Yeah, one suggestion is bonto no sikola. Kau muda kumenai foto no sikola. Foto no, inka mina nako foto a sikola. How about yang saya hormati? Yeah, once somebody told me, so metano da kumenai so ne fosi balaku. Yeah, so ne fosi balaku. But other words, we don't have words. Perkembangan, development. And how do you say selamat datang? Okay, so here is my appeal to all of us. We talk about global challenges, sure, but this is a local challenge. In the context of the global disappearance of cultural and linguistic diversity, we all have a responsibility to do what we can, each one of us. So native speaker, if you're a native speaker, aneo onano pandewambawuna, sudah menjadi tanggung jawabmu. It's your responsibility to use it. Use it or it will be lost. Use it or lose it. Your children, if you're married, speak it with your children. If you have grandchildren, speak it. Use it. Don't forget it. It will be lost. That's for native speakers. For the university here, I would have a strong appeal not just to talk about sustainable development in the areas of technology and maritime technology, climate change, but also to think of the culture and the linguistic heritage. Tolaki, Wolio, Moronene, Muna, Chia, they're only spoken in this province, and this university has a responsibility to take this endangered status of these languages seriously, not just by studying, but also by training people, training them to speak it, to teach it, and to help others maintain it. The government of Muna, if you're here from the government of Muna, please make efforts to appoint Muna language teachers. And if you're a scholar, if you're interested, sebagai seorang peneliti, collect data. oral literature, collect stories, collect dialect information, and help with the lexicon. Please, do something while we still can. This is urgent. And this is the end of my presentation. I would say, long live the Muna language, hiduplah bahasa Muna, no dadi hotora bambabuna. Thank you very much.
Brother Kumar, PhD, is a professor at the Department of Public Administration, University of Rinjasi, Bangladesh, and an adjunct professor at Central Queensland University, Australia. He was a senior Fulbright Fellow at the Department of Development Sociology, Cornell University, USA in 2012. Bandai's main research area include public policy, social movement, NGO, public sector management, government, and gender studies. He is the author of 13 books. He is an author of 13 books, 15 books chapter, around 50 journal articles that are published internationally. His major book publications include Women's Political Participation in Bangladesh. Oh, this is related to me, brother. Institutional Reform, Actor and Outcomes. Women empowerment in South Asia. NGO International and Agency Building in Bangladesh. Strengthening local government in Bangladesh. Reforms, participation and accountability. Government and NGO in South Asia. Experience of Bangladesh local government, citizen charter and local service delivery in Bangladesh. That's all the books from Professor Rana. His academic articles have appeared in journals like Asian Survey, International Journal, Public Administration, International Political Science, Review, Local Government Studies, Commonwealth and Comparative Politics, the Asian Journal and Politics Science, the Asian and Pacific Immigration Journal, and so on. The last, Professor Pandey has discharged different administrative responsibility. I'm very sorry. I would like to start again. Professor Pandey has discharged different administrative responsibility in his professional career. He has supervised many MPhil and PhD students in his academic career. Professor Pandey is working as the chief editor of the Asian Journal and Development and Governments. All right. The last but not least, he has a various international organizations, including UNDP, USID, SDC, Asian Foundation, Oxfam, Bangladesh, etc. All right. Thank you very much. That's all the summary for his CV, and the time is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, scholars, actually I lost my voice before I came here, so it seems that I'm recovering now. So as you have already known that my title of presentation is Transformative Leadership in Public Administration, Navigating Global Challenges for Sustainable Governance. Before I came, I thought I should have prepared a PPT, PowerPoint presentation, but considering the time constraint, I decided not to prepare a PPT, rather write a well-structured presentation, because, you know, when you will be a keynote speaker, your expectation will be higher than a normal presentation. So I will try to speak almost all the common and main ingredient of the topic within 20 minutes. I stand before you today with great honor and privilege as we gather at this prestigious international conference. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the organizers for inviting me to present this keynote address on the pressing issue of public administration and its role in addressing global challenges. In our increasingly interconnected world, the field of public administration finds itself at the forefront of navigating complex and multifaceted challenges. As we confront issues in education, economics, management, agriculture, culture, environment, and even within the realm of public administration itself, it is crucial that we embrace innovative and interdisciplinary approach to tackle these challenges head on. So basically, in my presentation, I will be touching upon the meaning of transformative leadership, major features, transformative leadership in developing countries, recommendation for the audiences, and finally I will conclude. So let's begin with what does transformation leadership mean. Today, I would like to shed light on the pivotal role of transformative leadership in public administration, a role that is indispensable and effective addressing the global challenges we face. Transformative leadership goes beyond the conventional boundaries of administrative practices. It requires us to adopt a holistic perspective that transcends disciplinary silos and encourages collaboration and knowledge sharing among diverse stakeholders. Transformative leadership represent a departure from conventional leadership styles that often focus on maintaining the status quo and ensuring smooth day-to-day operation. Instead, it is a dynamic and forward-looking approach that seeks to ignite a spark of innovation and inspiration within individuals and organizations. At its core, transformative leadership recognizes that pure progress and sustainable growth are achieved not through more efficiency in routine tasks, but through a fundamental shift in the way individuals perceive and engage with their work. It encourages a culture of continuous learning, adaptability, and creativity. This means leaders employing this style are not content with maintaining the current state of affairs. They actively seek opportunities for improvement and innovation. This approach also places a premium on the development and well-being of individuals within the organization. Transformative leadership understands that by empowering their team members, they can tap into a wealth of untapped potentials. This can lead to a more engaged, motivated, and proactive workforce, ultimately driving the organization towards higher levels of achievement. Moreover, transformative leadership is not confined to the realm of personal and organizational growth. It extends its influence into broader social context, especially in public administration. In this sphere, transformative leadership plays a pivotal role in steering communities and nations towards positive change. They have a keen understanding of the intricate web of politics, regulations, social dynamics that shape public life. By leveraging their vision and influence, they can guide these systems towards more equitable, efficient, and sustainable outcomes. The next concern is, what does transformative leadership composites? What are the basic features of transformative leadership? Transformative leadership embodies a set of distinctive attributes that distinguish it as a dynamic and influential type of leadership. These features are not only redefine the traditional notions of leadership, but also catalyze profound positive changes within individuals, teams, and organizations. Let us delve into the key features. The first one is, at the heart of the transformative leadership lies visionary thinking, a capacity to envision a future that is shaped by the principles of sustainable governance. Public administration must possess a forward-looking mindset grounded in an understanding of global trends and dynamics. By anticipating the needs and aspirations of our communities, we can develop innovative policies and strategies that promote inclusive growth and equitable development. One remarkable example of visionary thinking in public administration can be seen in Singapore's approach to sustainable urban development. Recognizing the challenge posed by the limited land resources and growing urbanization, Singapore's leaders implemented long-term urban planning strategies that integrated green spaces, efficient public transportation system, and sustainable building practices. Their visionary thinking and commitment to sustainable governance have made Singapore a global leader in the sustainable urban development. Ethical decision making is another fundamental pillar of transformative leadership in public administration. In an era characterized by increasing complexity, public administrators must navigate a myriad of ethical dilemmas. By upholding the highest standard of integrity, transparency, and accountability, we can foster trust in our institution and ensure that public interest remains at the forefront of our actions. Iceland provides an inspiring example of ethical leadership in environmental conservation. Faced with the threat of climate change and the depletion of natural resources, Iceland leaders made ethical decisions to transition to renewable energy resources, set strict conservation policies for fisheries, and promote responsible tourism practices. These decisions have not only safeguarded Iceland's pristine landscapes, but also positions the country as a global model for ethical and sustainable environmental governance. Inclusive governance is another essential pillar of transformative leadership in public administration. The challenges we face today are diverse and multifaceted, affecting different sectors of society in varying ways. It is imperative that we encourage stakeholders from various backgrounds and perspectives to ensure that our policies and solutions are inclusive and address the needs of all citizens. Brazil's Bolsa Familia program serves as the powerful example of inclusive governance in action. This transformative initiative aimed to elevate poverty and reduce inequalities by providing conditional cash transfer to low-income families. The program's success lay in its participatory approach, which involved engaging communities and empowering beneficiaries in the decision-making process. By prioritizing the inclusion of marginalized voices, Brazil effectively addressed social inequalities, improved access to education and healthcare services, and reduced poverty rates. The Bolsa Familia program demonstrates how inclusive governance can lead to positive social outcome and creating more equitable society. Sustainability lies at the core of transformative leadership. As custodians of our natural resources and social well-being, it is our responsibility to prioritize long-term planning and evidence-based decision-making in pursuit of sustainability. Sustainable governance encompasses a broad spectrum of practices that integrate environmental, social, and economic considerations. One exemplary case sustainability in public administration can be found in New Zealand's well-being budget. Recognizes that economic indicators alone fail to capture the well-being of its citizens. New Zealand shifted its focus to a broader definition of success. Their transformative leadership led to the development of a budget framework that considers environmental, social, and cultural well-being alongside economic growth. By aligning policies and investment with long-term sustainability and priorities, New Zealand is working towards creating a society that values the well-being of its people and the planet. To achieve sustainability, public administration must collaborate with various stakeholders, including government agencies, civil society organizations, business, and academia. Partnership and collaboration allows for sharing of knowledge, resources, and expertise, leading to a more effective and comprehensive solution to global challenges. But by fostering multi-sectoral collaboration, public administration can leverage the collective wisdoms of resources of different entities to drive sustainable governance. In essence, sustainable leadership is a dynamic force that propels individuals and organizations beyond the confines of routine operations. So now the next pertinent question is, what is the present state of exercise of sustainable or practice of transformative leadership in developing countries? Therefore, I now delve into the critical domain of transformative leadership in developing countries. These concepts demand a unique set of leadership qualities to navigate the complex challenges inherent to nations striving for sustainable growth and socio-economic progress. Transformative leaders play a pivotal role in mobilizing resources, fostering inclusive policies, and empowering community towards a brighter future. Let us explore the nuanced features and indispensable significance of the legislative style in the context of developing nations. It is crucial to recognize the specific challenges, opportunities that developing countries face in the realm of public administration. These countries often grapple with complex issues related to poverty, inequality, limited resources, and institutional capacity. Transformative leadership becomes even more critical in this context, as it can drive positive change and unlock the potential of sustainable development. Developing countries can draw inspiration from success stories worldwide and adapt them to their unique circumstances. Visionary thinking can provide public administration in a future where sustainable governance and inclusive growth are central goals. By setting ambitious yet attainable targets, these leaders can mobilize resources and rally stakeholders towards achieving them. Ethical decision making is particularly vital in developing countries, where the impact of public administration decision is often felt more acutely. Leaders must prioritize transparency, accountability, and integrity to build trust with the citizens and stakeholders. By upholding ethical principles, public administrators can foster an environment of fairness and responsible governance. Inclusive governance is essential in developing countries to ensure that policies and programs address the needs of the marginal communities. Public administrators must actively involve citizens, civil society, and local communities in decision-making process. And like the previous one, sustainability is a paramount concern for developing countries as they strive for long-term prosperity. Transformative leadership can steer public administrators towards sustainable policies that balance economic growth with environmental conservation and social equality. Developing countries can also benefit from international collaborations and knowledge sharing networks. Partners with developed countries, international organizations, and academia can provide valuable expertise, resources, and technical assistance. Transformative leaders in public administration can leverage this collaboration to assess best practices, innovative solutions, and capacity building. Based on these, I will provide some of the recommendations for the audience who are present here. Within the realm of transformative leadership, concrete recommendations serve as guiding beacons, illuminating the path towards meaningful change and sustainable progress. Thus, now I distilled actionable insights and strategies derived from the principles of transformative leadership. These recommendations are designed to empower leaders, both current and aspiring, to implement transformative practices in their prospective spheres of influence. Together, let us embark on a journey towards fostering positive, lasting impact through actionable steps and informed decision making. As public administration, we must embrace a culture of continuous learning and professional development. It is crucial to stay updated with the latest research, best practice, and emerging trends of our respective fields. By actively seeking out learning opportunities, attending conferences, and engaging in knowledge sharing platform, we can broaden our perspective and equip ourselves with the necessary tools to navigate the complexities of global challenges. To address multifaceted global challenges effectively, we must foster interdisciplinary collaboration, encourage personal partnership and engagement with experts from diverse fields, sectors, and backgrounds. To drive sustainable change, we need visionary leaders. As public administrators, we should cultivate a future-oriented mindset, actively identify engaging trends, anticipate challenges, and envision innovative solutions. By setting ambitious yet attainable goals, we can inspire the teams and stakeholders and mobilize collective efforts towards sustainable and inclusive development. Ethics and integrity are the bedrocks of public administration, and as transformative leaders, we must uphold the highest standard of transparency and accountability and ethical conduct. Let us establish robust ethical frameworks, enforce anti-corruption measures, and prioritize public interest in all decision-making process. Inclusive governance is key to the addressing global challenges effectively. We must actively involve citizens, civil society, marginalized communities in decision-making process by creating platforms for dialogue, listening to diverse perspectives, and ensuring that policies and programs address the specific needs and aspirations of all segments of society. We can foster inclusivity and social inclusion. And finally, sustainability should be the forefront of our governance framework. As transformative leaders, we must prioritize environmental sustainability, social equality, and economic resilience in our policies and practices. By promoting sustainable development goals, investing in renewable energy, fostering circular economies, and ensuring responsible resource management, we can pave the way for a sustainable future. To impart transformative leadership in public administration, we must allocate resources and support capacity building initiatives. Investing in training programs, mentorship opportunities, and knowledge and exchange platform will enhance skills, competencies, and leadership capabilities in public administration. And finally, I will conclude. Transformative leadership in public administration is the utmost importance for developing nations. By embracing visionary thinking, critical decision-making, inclusive governance, and sustainability, these countries can overcome challenges and embark on a path of sustainable development. The success stories from around the world serve an inspiration and offer valuable lessons that can be adapted and implemented in developing countries' context. Let us empower public administration in these countries to lead transformative changes and create a brighter future for their citizens. In conclusion, transformative leadership in public administration plays a critical role in addressing the global challenges we face today. Through visionary thinking, ethical decision-making, inclusive governance, and commitment to sustainability, public administrators can navigate complex issues and create a future that is equitable, prosperous, and sustainable. The success stories of Singapore, Iceland, Brazil, and New Zealand demonstrates the transformative power of leadership in public administration. By embracing interdisciplinary approaches and collaborating with stakeholders, we can collectively work towards addressing the challenges in education, economics, management, culture, agriculture, environment, and public administration itself. Let us seize the opportunity to make a positive impact and shape a better world for current and future generation. Before I conclude, I like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to organizers for affording me the privilege of being a keynote speaker at this extreme conference. It has been an honor to share insights on transformative leadership in public administration. I commend your dedication to fostering a platform for constructive dialogue and knowledge exchange. I look forward to the continued collaboration and collective effort towards driving positive change in our respective domain. Thank you once again. Thank you, moderator. Hope I have finished within the deadline. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam, for this opportunity. I would like thank you. Yes. Okay, thank you. Before, my name is Anwar from the postgraduate, and then directly I wanna ask to Professor Pranab, and I think he's presenting about the sustainable governance. But I want to underline about one word in yours is about well-being. And then my question is,
Sorry, is it well-being?
yes, well-being. It means kesejahteraan. Yes. All right. And then I want to know deeply about the sustainable governance, about the policy for the employee, and from the perspective over time in employee in Indonesia. I think is my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Muhaidin from Pasca Sarjana. I'm interested about the Munanis language. Maybe Dr. Rains can give me attention. Okay. If you can see from the history, the Munanis language is sometimes, as you say, is probably will distinctions here. I think it's the same with another language, locally language in Indonesia, such as like Banten, Lampung, and another language. I think we have the same problem because our children and the next generation never use it that language again. So if you can see from the Munanese language, what is the connections between another language in the Pacific? Because in Pacific, something like Vanuatu, Fiji, is there any connections, or is there any same how to spell the same like that? Because their language is they are using as language in every day. But in our country, like the Munanese, even sometimes I'm speaking in Munanese, but not all I understand now. Yeah, because I'm not from Munanese, but I'm come here and I'm trying to speak and learn about that. Please give explanations about. Thank you.
My name is Jafriati. I'm from the Faculty of Public Health, Halolo University. So my question, I want to ask for presenters from Pranab Kumar Pandai. Professor, the most optimal solution, we are public health, education, management, agriculture, environment, and public health, public administration to collaborate, from interdisciplinary collaborate to provide knowledge to the public to prevent children from consuming cigarette. Moreover, in Indonesia, very many children who smoke from junior high school. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Muhyiddin, for your question about language endangerment. Yes, it is true that many other languages in Indonesia face the same problem. Yeah, it's not just Muna, I know that. But because that's the language I'm studying, that's the language I'm concerned about. If my child is sick, then I'm very concerned about his health. I'm not so concerned about children in another village who are also sick. So that's because I happen to study this language and I have many friends and I care about it. But you're right, it's a big problem all over Indonesia, and I think the latest estimates are that about 60 to 70% of the languages in Indonesia are now threatened. Ya. Bukan saja Lampung dan bahasa-bahasa daerah kecil, ya, banyak sekali yang juga terancam, termasuk yang besar. So it's a big problem. The second part of your question was, is there a connection with the Pacific? Yes, there is. Languages in the Pacific, east of Papua New Guinea, they're all Austronesian. So all the languages in Micronesia, Melanesia, including Fiji, and all of them in Polynesia, and many languages of the coastal areas in Papua New Guinea are all Austronesian, one large family. The easiest way to find that out is by looking at the numerals. So for instance, in Muna, if we count from 1 to 5, how does it go? Ise, dua, tolu, pa, lima. When I go to a language in Papua New Guinea called Vitu, a coastal language that's also in Austronesian, it goes Katiu, Rua, Tolu, Vati, Lima. That's thousands of miles away from where we are. And the same is true for Fijian. I haven't memorized the numerals there. The same is true for Maori, for Hawaiian. That's all one large family, ultimately from one ancestor. Of course, the cultures differ. The languages have developed. You can't understand each other, but you can see the genetic unity if you are a specialist and you know about the origin of words. Does that answer your question, sir? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pak Rene. I would like to move to the Prof. Pranab. Prof. Pranab, you have two questions, please.
Yes, regarding the first question about the sustainability in employees in the organization, the main philosophy of transformative leadership is to allow your stakeholders to get into the decision-making process. Along with the innovation, if you allow them to express their voices in the decision-making, there will be an ownership, and that will also provide them a sense of satisfaction. And along with sustainability, the inclusive governance is very important. If you, follow the top-down decision-making approach, that will make employees more frustrated. Instead of making them annoyed, try to include their voices in the decision-making process. Automatically, they will be boosted up, and there will be satisfaction, and there will be work more hardly for the organization, and that will result in a more sustainable outcome of your organization. And as that regards to the question of public health and tuberculosis, Madam, actually, in order to face that sort of challenges, we must go for awareness building program. Again, we need to work from the bottom, because community engagement, without ensuring the community engagement, it is difficult to implement a top-down imposed decision in any country, not only in Indonesia, because unless and until you make people aware about the negative sides of the smoking, you will not be able to make them keep them away from smoking. So the initiative should start from the community. Let them understand the effectiveness of your program, and let them understand the negativities of smoking, and on him or the secondary smokers or on their family. If you could mobilize the community, and based on the community's preferences, if you can build a campaign, that will definitely, there are definitely different success stories, and that is why actually participatory approach has become one of the most important successful strategies in even policy implementation and research. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Pranab. All participants, I think that's the end of the first session, first plenary session. I just want to close this session. I don't need to do a conclusion, because I think it's clear already. The presentation is clearly and comprehensive for both presenter and the first presenter online. So allow me to say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. The first plenary session is closed. Thank you. We need to applause to the presenters. Thank you very much, Dr. Rene and Prof. Prana, for your presentation. I think that before coming to the next session, I would also like to say thank you very much, Dr. Daddy, for being with us for the whole presentation. Thank you very much. We do appreciate your time. We know there are different times from here, Canada, right?
So the second plenary session will be moderated by Dr. Nurnia SPD MA. So yeah, she is a lecturer from English Education Department of Hull University. She was graduated in English Education Department of Hull University, and then she continued her study in National University of Singapore in Applied Linguistics, and then she continued her study again in Educational Management.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning, everyone. Also, thank you for having still been here and joining this session. I am Nurnia, and it is my great pleasure to chair this session. In this second plenary session, I'd like to present you Our three esteemed keynote speakers, two are here with us and one is online. To start the session, I'd like, let's welcome to the stage. I make it a little bit different now. So please allow me to welcome to the stage Dr. Avinash Pawar. Dr. Avinash Pawar, the quite handsome guy on my right. Okay, welcome to Kendari, Indonesia. So he is from India. Okay, Dr. Avinash is Chamber of Commerce, Industries and Agriculture, Indian Society for Training and Development, National Entrepreneurship Network, and National Institute of Personnel Management. He is a faculty member of Organizational Management, Human Resource Management, and Employer Branding. He is a multifaceted academician and researcher in multiple disciplines of management, such as human resource, marketing, technology, operations, and supply chain management. He has many honors, one of which is Outstanding Performance in Research and Education Award by Global Research Foundation. And his most recent article is on techno-managerial implication towards communication in Internet of Things for smart cities. Okay, I'll invite you to the podium to present. Yeah, thank you.
Honorable dignitaries of UHO and all my dear brothers and sisters, very good morning. Yeah, it's wonderful to see all of you here, and I take this opportunity to express my gratitude for inviting me for this international conference. So thank you everyone for being a part of this conference. I feel this is an amazingly organized conference. So thank you, and I express my gratitude to being a part of this conference. So thanks a lot. Today I'm going to talk about a very key area which is important for any society, business or a nation. So that is something which drives the economy. So today I'm going to talk about one of the industrial sector, and that is MSMEs, which stands for micro, small and medium enterprises. Today MSMEs are called as backbone of the nation because they contribute to the economy, they contribute to the society, they generate employment, and they also helps the companies to develop variety of product and services. So MSMEs are key part of any industrial revolution. And we realize through our study, in fact, we assessed MSMEs in India, and we further developed what are the challenges for MSMEs. And that surely will help all the developing countries to design strategies for the future. So let me begin with the further part of the presentation. Okay, so MSMEs have a very pivotal role in the economy, and they contribute further to make the nation grow. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah, next slide. Yeah. Yes. So as I discussed, that MSMEs gives more orientation to the other businesses, because micro, small and medium enterprises, they create product and services which are helpful for the larger organization, and then that contributes to the industrial growth of any country. So to understand what are the areas which MSMEs are lacking, we did a small study to understand what are the environmental, business and financial challenges of MSMEs. So that has helped us to find out what is something which is troubling micro companies, or what is something which are the major challenges for medium companies, so that government could design strategies to further help these sectors and also help to the economy and generate more employment. So considering that aspect, I think all across the world, there is a rapid growth of MSMEs. However, in majority of the developing countries, the MSME sector is ignored. And if you look at the developed countries, the MSME sector is more empowered. So that is the basic difference which I could observe, during the first part of my literature review on this topic. Moving further to design the let's move further. Yeah. So a few of the challenges which I could realize in the first segment of my study is that there is a definite financial challenges to all micro, small and medium enterprises. Furthermore, the tax structure is also affecting these industries. And however, the skillfulness of manpower, even the registration processes and the government support, these are some of the prime areas which are lacking in all developing countries, including India, Bangladesh, Indonesia. So I think these are the areas which we need to look for to make further changes to deal with the variety of challenges in the MSMEs. Then to start with, we decided the objectives of the study. First, to study and understand the financial position of MSMEs, which was very important because majority of the micro, small and medium enterprises were facing financial challenges. So we wanted to understand what are the financial challenges to the MSMEs. Then we analyze and predict the risk of bankruptcy of MSMEs in the region. Again, this was very important part of my research to understand what is the risk of bankruptcy to the MSMEs. Maybe in a due course of future, what is the situation for a MSME, whether it's going to be bankrupt or not. So that was also studied in my research. Further, to identify and deliberate the major challenges for MSMEs, so we did a literature review, we analyzed a lot of data, we studied a lot of papers, and we also interviewed several people from MSMEs. And then we realized that there are many challenges which are faced by MSMEs. So I'm going to list and deliberate on those challenges. And lastly, we developed a framework, which is a model based on the analysis of the study. So these are the four major objectives which we have studied through this study. Okay, so few of the research gap, after synthesizing the literature, we realized that the analysis using the Z-score and the F-score is not done by many researchers. So we applied the two financial tools of F-score and Z-score analysis to understand the risk of bankruptcies to the MSMEs. We also analyzed the bankruptcy risk along with the financial ratios, which was the extended part of our study. And we also studied the financial position and financial strength of the MSMEs in India. So these are some of the research gaps which exist in the literature, and we tried to overcome those research gaps through our study. Moving further, we started the research with two aspects. First, we studied the primary data which was collected through a questionnaire. And we also conducted few interviews of the MSME managers. And further, the secondary data which was collected from the literature and through the financial reports from the government sources. So we downloaded and collected all the financial records of micro, small and medium enterprises in the form of annual reports, profit and loss reports, balance sheets. All those were extracted to do this study further. Now, importantly, we selected two tools to analyze the data. The first tool to be is used is something called as F-score. The F-score shows you the financial strength of the company, which is very important for us to understand that what is the financial strength of the company, whether the company is financially liable or not, whether the company could financially sustainable or not. So these are the questions which we can understand if we apply the F-score. So there is a specific formula to apply the F-score, which is called as Petrosky F-score, which includes return on asset, cash flow, then change in working capital, change in shares, change in gross margin, change in asset turnover. These are few ratios which which help you to calculate Petrosky F-score, and that further decides whether your company have a good financial strength or not. Secondly, we also computed something called as Altman Z-score, which also shows you the likelihood of bankruptcy of any company. So that ratio, that score is based on several ratios, financial ratios, including retained earning, earning before interest, then total assets, value of equity, liabilities, sales by total assets. So if I combine all these ratios and put that into a Altman Z-score formula, I could understand what is the Z-score, and I can derive whether there is any risk of bankruptcy or not. So using these two tools, we computed financial strength and risk of bankruptcy for a particular organizations. So now coming to the further part of our study, which is financial position analysis. So we analyzed several ratios like return on assets, then profit margin, return on capital equipments, all those ratios were computed, and we realized that all these ratios are much lower in micro and small industries, which signifies that micro and small industries face a lot of financial challenges and their financial position is very weak. On the other hand, they also face several financial challenges. Furthermore, return on equity, then the average net profit, all these ratios were also computed and analyzed, which interprets that these ratios have also been found lowest in case of micro enterprises, which was furthermore the small and medium enterprises are much better in terms of financial position. Moving further, we also did the Petrosky score analysis as we have shown in the research methodology. So we realized that the score of the Petrosky F-score for all micro, small and medium enterprises were calculated, and we found out that majority of the micro enterprises have a lower financial strength. However, the poor financial strength of medium enterprises is only around 30%. So this is again a very important call for a government to understand what strategies to be implemented for micro, small and medium enterprises. Moving further, we also analyzed the three important ratios like current ratio, quick ratio and cash ratio, which shows the financial stability of the company, how financially stable a company is. And that has also been showing that the financial stability of a micro, small and medium enterprises is in generally lower than the other established companies. We collected the data for the companies who are running their businesses for last 5 years. So that was the a very significant finding of the study, that most of the companies who started in last 5 years have a lower financial performance. Then looking at the turnover ratios, the same findings were reiterated like asset turnover ratio, insolvency ratio, debtor ratio and creditors turnover ratio. All four ratios indicating the lower financial strength for micro and small industries, and which further enlightens that the financial position of micro and small companies needs a lot of inputs from the government, from the society and other funding agencies. Now, in the similar context, I think what we could understand is that the micro and small companies were having a higher rate of closure. In the first couple of years or 3 years, the micro companies may get closed, and that trend has been observed in several economies, and that is very important for my studies finding to find out the need to support all the industries, especially those who are coming under micro, small and medium enterprises, so that the economy could be developed, so that the GDP and contribution to the economy could be enhanced by all these industries. So now the second part of my study was to predict the bankruptcy, which was based on the financial ratios. To do that, we calculated the Altman Z-score for micro, small and medium enterprises. And that finding shows us that the 63% of micro organizations, they are under the risk of bankruptcy, which is a very critical finding because 63 is a big number. while the around 56% of small companies are under the risk of bankruptcy. And even 48% of the medium enterprises are under the risk of bankruptcy. So to combine these aspects, I feel the major part of the micro, small and medium enterprises, they are in the risk of bankruptcy, and that requires more attention and financial support from different stakeholders so that this particular sector can survive and can contribute to the industrial growth and also to the economy of the country. Moving on to the further aspect, what are the challenges which MSMEs faces? So after communicating and having interactions with the MSME managers, after synthesizing the literature, we realize there are 45 major challenges which are faced by micro, small and medium enterprises. So in the primary stage, we categorize these challenges into 3 subgroups, and those groups are financial challenges, business challenges and environmental challenges. So each group is having around 15 challenges which every MSME faces. Now to analyze this data, we collected the primary data from all the micro, small and medium enterprises to understand the severance of these factors for MSMEs. So how much these factors are affecting to micro, small and medium enterprises. So we did a weighted average analysis to find out the impact of these challenges on the micro, small and medium enterprises. So after doing that analysis, we realized that in case of micro organizations, the top financial challenges are tariff rate, then their accounts and their proportions with the cost of capital. So these are few important top challenges for micro organization, top financial challenges for micro organizations. Then in case of business challenges, the top business challenges for micro organizations are financial control, market study and skilled labor. So these are top 3 challenges faced by micro organizations. Similarly, the top environmental challenges for micro organizations include their business, their seasonality and the effect of COVID-19 on the business. So these are top 3 environmental challenges for micro organizations. Moving further, the same analysis has been done even for small organizations. So we realize that the top financial challenges for small organizations include capital, cost of capital and their production cost. These are the top challenges for small organizations. Then business challenges include skilled labor, capacity utilization and financial control. And environmental challenges includes the market demand, the pandemic effect and the seasonality involved in the product. So these are the few findings about the small organization. Coming to the next, which is the medium organizations. So same weighted average analysis is done and then the priority of the factors were realized. The top financial challenges for medium enterprises include cost of capital, working capital and tariff rates. The top challenges, business challenges for medium organization includes financial control, then optimization, their utilization of funds and market study. And environmental challenges for medium organizations include natural calamities, weather condition and their registrations. So all these challenges which we have compiled in the primary phase by discussing with the managers and entrepreneurs, then we analyze that with the help of primary data, and we identified top challenges for each segment of micro, small and medium enterprises in 3 major categories as financial, business and environmental challenges. So to complement that further, we have prepared a small matrix which will help us to understand how these challenges are affected to MSME. So if you look at the slide, you'll realize the matrix which shows the challenges for micro, small, medium and in terms of financial, business and environmental challenges as per the priority of these sectors. So this is an interesting matrix which we developed after going through the study. Now complementing to the further part, what we did is we created a framework of all these challenges. So if you look at the framework which we have developed for micro, small and medium enterprises, To understand the priorities, we realize that financial challenges are majorly affecting MSMEs, then the business challenges, and finally the environmental challenges. So if any micro, small or medium company wants to improve their financial performance, they must start with what financial challenges they are facing. Then they should overcome the business challenges, and lastly they should deal with the environmental challenges for the companies. So this is a framework to give you a right alignment to deal with different problems and challenges for your particular micro, small and medium enterprises. Moving further, we have done something called as regression analysis to understand the influence of business, different challenges on financial performance of MSMEs. So we did a statistical regression analysis, and these are the test outcomes of the regression analysis. So we analyze what is the impact of financial challenges on financial performance, then business challenges on financial performance, and environmental challenges on financial performance of micro, small and medium enterprises. So we did the regression analysis in 3 stages. So this is for the business challenges, and next is for the environmental challenges. So after doing this analysis, we have derived the 3 major regression equations which are impacting the challenges, problems and challenges of MSMEs on the financial performance of the MSMEs. So this is a regression model. If you can look at the screen, you will realize that the financial challenges, business challenges and environmental challenges all are affecting the financial performance of the business, and their relationship has been derived through the equation. So what we can do after this is that we can understand what's going to be the impact of financial challenges on the financial performance. Even the consultants, government, all the authorities could use this regression model to predict the financial performance of the firm, to understand what's going to be the influence of challenges on the outcome of the firm. So that is the contribution of my study on MSMEs. Moving further, some of the findings which we have realized that all the ratios in micro, small and medium enterprises have shown lower financial performance. Furthermore, all the challenges including financial, business and environmental challenges affect the financial performance of the firms. The financial position of micro, small enterprises is poor, which was realized through F score and Z score. So we have reiterated that the financial performance is lower in those 2 segments which require more attention. Only 12% of micro, 15% of small and 40% of medium enterprises have a good financial position, which is an alarming sign for all the MSMEs in India, which needs to have some further action from all the authorities and government regulations. Hence, there is a need to improve financial position of all the MSMEs, and there is a need to have proper policies, guidelines and strategies required from the side of the government. So these are a few of the key findings. On the basis of data analysis, we realize that most of the micro businesses have a risk of bankruptcy, which we analyzed through Z score, and which has shown the indication that in the course of next 5 years, 60% of the micro organizations will be closed down. So again, that prediction must help to all the companies and also to the government to take right action to save these companies in the future. So the enterprise, we also further require a policy structure for micro, small and medium enterprises so that the government could help them and the micro, small and medium enterprises could generate more employment. They could also generate more funds, and the cash flow in the economy would be rightly maintained for all across the time. So these are few findings to further to conclude our study. What we realize is that the micro, small and medium enterprises is a major contributor to the socio-economic development of the country. In India, this sector has gained significant importance due to the contribution to the GDP, to the export, and also because of the development of employment today. This sector is providing more than 90% of the employment, because most of the recruitment happens in the small or medium companies. So this generates more employment, and it also maintains a equilibrium of cash flow. It also maintains the right alignment of all the interactions with other supporting industries. The micro, small and medium enterprises happens in two segments, either manufacturing MSMEs or service MSMEs. Both of them are significantly contributing to the growth of the nation. So at the end, I would just like to say that MSMEs are driving force for growth of any country, and this sector cannot be ignored. It is a backbone, and if you develop the MSMEs rightly, it will give a better results for your nation, for your economy, and for your societies. Thank you.
Dr. Haliza Abdul Rahman holds her PhD in the field of environment and development and the master in the field of environmental management from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. She is an associate professor in the Department of Environmental and Occupational Health, Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, University Putra Malaysia, and the head of Youth Laboratory in Leadership, Politics and Citizenship. She has published extensive writing materials on the various aspects of environmental issues in journals, more than 100 articles, including P1, and also books, more than 20 books and chapters in books and also proceeding. Let's welcome Ibu Prof to start the presentation. Time is yours.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Moderator. Assalamualaikum, and also very good morning to all. Actually, when we think about environment, what are in our mind? What are thinking when we see or we think about environment? Pollution, conservation, climate change. What in our mind? What is the significance of the environment to us as human? Anybody can answer? Maybe the student. What are you think about environment? Anybody want to try? Anybody of you working on environmental topic on your thesis, S2 or S3? No. No, So actually environment is very significant to us as human. Without environment, we cannot survive. Yeah, actually, because environment offer us two things. First is the source, where we get our timber, as example, our petroleum. And another thing is environment also provides service to us. As example, as simple as clean air or clean water. That's why we must manage our environment properly in pristine situation to make sure that our generation, our future generation can get what we get now. So this is some introduction for the environment. So my topic is environmental sustainability, roadmap through interdisciplinary approach. So next. Okay. Actually, when we think about the concept of sustainable development, actually we have three pillars, which is social, economic, and also environment. The three pillars is support each other. For example, without economy, we cannot pristine our environment. So, regarding how to manage our environment, we also need the interdisciplinary approach. We cannot manage our environment by our expertise only. As example, me as environmental governance expert, I cannot manage environment or maybe conserve and preserve the environment by my own. I need another expertise to join me in order to make sure that the environment is in good condition. As example, the economists, the engineer, the teachers, the society, as example. So, when we go back to a previous study, actually from 1960, we have so many environmentalists which try to increasing our awareness in order to protect the environment. As example, the Rachel Carson regarding Silent Spring, and also the Garrett Howden regarding Tragedy of Common, and also maybe another expert will try to alert or to increasing the awareness of the community in the world. So next. So, but the main one is regarding the sustainable development concept, which introduced by the Harlem Brundtland, which is the Prime Minister of Finland, and sustainable development is stresses that every time when we changes the environment, we must think about the future generation. Yeah, so we cannot simply diminishing or maybe we pollute our environment. Yeah, then our future generation cannot be what we are now. So as example, now we have maybe in tropical we have elephant. So when we are not friendly with our environment, so the elephant will be extinct. Yeah? So the future generation cannot see what is elephant only from the picture. Yeah? This is the concept of sustainable development. So next. So actually this is summarized how the environmental awareness increasing in the world. So next. This is the SDG. SDG is very important now. Every country in the world need to make sure that they are practice the SDG. Now we have 17 SDG. As example, SDG 3 regarding the health and wellness. And in future, they try to introduce another SDG, which SDG 18 regarding the ethics. So when we interact with the environment, we need to focus on our ethics. Yeah? So next. So why is environmental sustainability is very important? As we know, first for the biodiversity conservation. As example, Malaysia lost our badak sumur Sumatra, 0. Because the last badak sumur Sumatra died a few years back. Yeah? So we no need to do the same thing. And we know Malaysia and Indonesia is richness with the biodiversity. So we need to take care of biodiversity. That's why the sustainability is very important. And then, as I mentioned, this environment supply us the very basic thing human need to be survive. So clean air and water. And also, from the environment, we can increase our economy, example from our timber and petroleum. So we need the sustainability of environment. Next. However, a human affecting the environment in very, very fast, especially the negative one. So when population is the main one, how we affected the environment, because every human, when they are born, we change the environment. Because every human produce as simple as the waste. So for Malaysia, as example, every Malaysian produce around 0.8 to 1.8 kilogram waste every day. So that's why, and also some of the country have the policy how to control their population. As example, China, Singapore. But now they change the policy to increase the population because deficit on that. Then industry, we know, and we need to increase our economy. So we need the industry. But industry, some of them are not in very environmental friendly on their production. As example, maybe the small scale, but the friendly one is more on the international company. They have the good system regarding how to take care of the environment. And then climate change. Climate change is very worried around the world. Now every country are focusing on the climate change. That's why we have the Paris Convention, we have the Johannesburg, we have the Rio, because climate change can affect the human very worse. Now in our Arctic and Antarctic, the ice is melting very fast, very fast. So what happens when the ice is melting? So the sea level rise will be increased. That's why Jokowi transferred Jakarta to Nusantara, because in 2050 Jakarta will be flooded. That's why one of the strategy is transfer the capital of Indonesia to Nusantara. This is the effect of the climate change. Then consumer behavior also affected our environment. So as example, when we have our respiratory system, we take our oxygen and release the carbon. This is the simple one, how we change the environmental component. Every day we change the environmental component. So next. So how and why the interdisciplinary approach is very important. As I mentioned as earlier, so we need so many disciplines to work together, integrated, to make sure that our environment is pristine, conserve or preserve or protect. So as example, here you can see to manage only one component of environment, as example water, we need so many expertise. So as example, mathematics, so they can contribute in what aspect? The arts also can contribute, and also language. Now we are thinking all these sciences, engineer can contribute to protect the environment. No, language and also art also can contribute, especially in increasing the knowledge of the community with their novel, with their informal campaign, whatever, to increase the awareness on environment. So next. So what is interdisciplinary approach? Actually, interdisciplinary approach involves several disciplines to redefine problem outside of normal boundary and reach solution based on the new understanding of complex situation. Okay. So environmental problem require an interdisciplinary approach because environmental problem are complex. As we know, we have so many systems in environment and involve many field of knowledge. Okay, next. Okay, this is the how we define between disciplinary we have in order to manage the environment. So we can see there interdisciplinary discipline, and also another. Before this, we focus maybe on interdisciplinary, intradisciplinary, integrated, so on and so forth. So next. So why we need the interdisciplinary approach? Actually, interdisciplinary approach try to connecting all the dots, the loophole, the weaknesses of the management of environment before this. Because when we manage our environment in interdisciplinary approach, we inclusive perspective that blend insight from scientists, all the important stakeholders, as example there, and then we have maybe because of mix of the discipline, so we can solve the problem in creative situation. As example as which they are expert in language, art, and so on and so forth. And then from that we also can have the collaboration network. So we can maybe manage our environment in better situations. Next. So how can we developing a sustainability roadmap? First, we need to assess how the condition of environment before we make some decision, and then we have a plan how to solve the problem as example, and then we engage. What we engage? We need to engage the public. Now we cannot have a top-down management. All from government cannot be. So many weaknesses. The environmental management program is not really successful under the top-down approach. So we need the bottom-up. Means the public, the community, the local people there involved together in how to manage their environment. Because we are local in there, so we know everything regarding our environment. That's why some of the country are failed regarding how to make their environment is success, because all from the top down. The public is not or minimized involved in environmental problem situation or issue. So next. So how can we implement the road map? First, we need to allocate resources and define the responsibility. Yeah. As example, assign the necessary resources and clearly define the responsibility of each team member. And then second one, to set a clear milestone and also the timelines. This is very important because we have a time limit. So many things we need to manage. So the milestone and timeline is very important. Then how we continuing, we monitor the progress and strategy, how to progress, how to manage the environment. Is it successful or failure? And then embrace innovation. We need innovation regarding how to manage the environment to make sure that the program is successful, and then celebrate achievement maybe and communicate the successes. Yeah? So regarding our friend, when he talked regarding the how the businesses involved, he also discussed on environment. Yeah? So every environment is all in all aspects affected all and every day and everything. So as example, maybe in future our migration is not because of the war, but because of the environmental disaster. Yeah. Now environmental disaster is very rapidly appear every day because we as human not protect of our environment. So in Indonesia or in Kendari, how many % of the population involved in recycling? How many percent recycling? Roughly. As easy as recycling. In Malaysia, we are not quite good on that. So now 2023, only around 33% involved in recycling. Our government target around 2040, around 40% will be involved. Yeah? So many campaign done, but it's slow increasing, but it's towards that. Yeah? So in Kendari, how many percent involved in recycling? And maybe, doctor, in India, how many percent? Yeah. How many percent involved in recycling? 20%. Eh? Because if we don't practicing the recycling, we need more landfill. More landfill. Eh? So more landfill, what is the problem? Now our urban area is limited with the land. And also maybe if we don't have practicing the recycling, we need maybe in future incinerator. When we synchronize the incinerator and also the climate change, so what happened? What is produced by the incinerator? The smoke. So we need to make sure that we practicing the 6R lah, regarding reduce, reuse, recycle and everything. So next. So for my conclusion, so we need interdisciplinary to make sure that our environment is in pristine, conserve, preserve, protect or whatever. So we cannot silo in how to manage the environment because we need so many expertise from another discipline to share their knowledge and also expert to make sure that what we have today can be have also by the future generation. That's all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Dilanti Nadika Kodalagama is from Sri Lanka. She is the senior lecturer at the Faculty of Agriculture, University of Ruhuna, Sri Lanka. She is a country advisor of the young professionals for agriculture research and development. Her main areas of research are well-being, gender, resource management, and community development in fishing and farming communities. Let me pull up one of her most cited papers to short. So it is about inclusive development from a gender perspective in small-scale fisheries. And now, Dr. Dilanti is working on an article to present with us, is shifting paradigm toward well-being. Dr. Deepika, time is yours.
Good morning, good noon, good afternoon, and good evening. Ayubowan, greetings from Sri Lanka. I thank you very much for inviting me to this international conference to deliver a keynote speech at the first international conference on interdisciplinary studies of the University of Palu Oleo, an Indonesian university. The conference is about interdisciplinary, so I selected my topic, which touches the interdisciplinary through this tour. Okay, time is limited, so we enter to the business. Yeah, before that, tell me, how do you feel today? Feeling great because you are joining with this first international interdisciplinary conference at the Palu Oleo University, right? But yeah, we feel okay, yes. But if I ask, how do you feel about 10 years back, 10 years ago, or let's say your childhood? In my experience, I would say, wow, great. We did not have things like today, but we had a very satisfied, very happy life. And we live far better than now. Maybe with the very conventional, traditional foods. And maybe using public transportation and so on. But our lives were full of happiness, satisfaction, and relationships. Okay. Now, if I ask, what is your answer if I ask, how do you feel about the future? Very much uncertain, isn't it? Cannot predict. Why? Because we are living in a polycrisis. Right? So I try to list out the issues we have. I try to list out the challenges, the difficulties we have. The slide is not enough. I think you would not be angry with me. You would not be oppose me. Right? See, escalating poverty, food insecurity, resource depletion, pandemic, global warming and climate change, conflicts, war, economic and financial crisis, energy crisis, social unrest, and many more. Right? So that's why we feel afraid about our future. And actually this situation has been felt in early 1990s, if I say even late 80s. And the experts, world leaders, they wanted to find some solutions by looking the trend of resource exploitation, resource extraction. And they had that euphoria. And it became, as a result, in 1992, they came up with this sustainability concept. In 1992, at the Earth Summit at Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, they introduced 21 agenda, right? And later on, in 2000, at the Millennium Summit, 8 Millennium Development Goals introduced. But in 2015, at the United Nations General Assembly, SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, introduced. Okay, so now we have 17 SDGs. We have 17 Sustainable Development Goals to achieve by 2030. So we call this 2030 agenda. I'm not going to explain one by one because we know well enough about these 17 goals. But are we happy? Do we feel comfort? Still not. Then why? Why is that? Because still we experience the SDGs, which we have high hopes, right? That this will save our future, will save our planet, and will bring smile to all in the world. So we had hopes like that, but now we know that we cannot feed everybody in the world. We cannot stop violence. You can see the challenges of sustainable development. Poverty, inequality, negative socio-economic trends are increasing. Resource depletion, shortages, food, energy. People are struggling for food, water, energy, forest. These resources are depleting. Wealth accumulation among a fewer hands, we call polarization. Rich become richer, poor become poorer, and financial crisis. Trade, fair distribution, multinational special interests are fully driven by self-interest or selfishness. Vulnerabilities, risks, shocks, disasters are increasing. Conflicts, war, rebels, Ukraine-Russia war, Palestine-Israel war, so threatening and making people vulnerable and even everyone, right, because of the energy, all. Climate change. Professor Mohan Munasinghe mentioned climate change as the granddaddy of all these threats. Then gender-based discrimination, food insecurity, shortages, water scarcity, weak leadership. So these are some challenges that we are facing due to this. Even we have these sustainable development goals, right? And climate change has become a threat multiplier, risk multiplier, because it affects to all the sectors, every person, every household, and it leads to suppress different other sectors as well. And these multiple threats are integrated and synergistic, so leading for another. So this a chain of crisis, chain of the negative impacts are emerging. On the other hand, although we are talking about globalization, integration, interconnectedness, universal world, but responses are uncoordinated and piecemeal, of course. Stakeholders are disunited. So, so these are some extracts I got from Professor Mohan Munasinghe's speech, one of the greatest Sri Lankan economists who are explaining about sustainability. And I also extracted one section from FAO reports. So it talks about the inequality and the food insecurity. Since the time of adoption of the SDGs, the number of food insecure people worldwide has risen each and every year. From 1,544 million in 2014 to 2,309 million in 2021. And 42% of humankind were reportedly unable in 2020 to afford a healthy diet. So food insecurity. People are living without food. People are struggling because of obesity, because too much of food, inequality. So this is one aspect, right? This is only one aspect, but there are more stories, right? More stories about this unsustainable issues. Another thing, ecological footprint. Ecological footprint is the economic activities have an impact on environment, and the way of measuring it is called ecological footprint. On the other hand, we have the biological capacity. Biological capacity is the maximum impact that can be absorbed sustainably by the land and sea. If the ecological footprint exceeds the biological capacity, it means the world is unsustainable. So Professor Mohan Murasing again, he has drawn very interesting graph. So it shows that the requirement of planets means requirement of resources. So by 2012, we need 1.5 Earth. We need to borrow another Earth to fulfill our needs and more. By 2030, we need two planets. Completely we need to borrow another Earth, another planet to meet our requirements. So this is unsustainability, right? This is unsustainability that we need to focus on. And these are the challenges. Even though we have goals, we must have a course of action. You know, in 2015, SDGs came into play, came into action, came into the notice. But in 2018, Sri Lanka declared that we have achieved few of these SDGs, particularly SDG 3, some goals, some targets related to health, and some targets related to inequality and food security, that is SDG 2. That was in 2018. But how about the present? Now we are struggling to survive. We don't talk about SDGs. We cannot think about SDGs, but at least we need to survive. We are crying for medicine. We are crying for food. At least at a very low level. So it means that despite we achieved these SDGs in 2018, now we are again in an abyss. Can sustainability be like that? No. It means that we are lacking. Although we have goals, yes, these are goals, but we are lacking the course of action. We don't have proper agenda. So if we practice this business as usual approach, business as usual, then a threat for the safer and better future. How can we reduce this? How can we reduce this threat, these risks, the challenges, right, of achieving these SDGs? Yes, we need to think about some other approaches. Right now, we are totally depending on we are totally calculating our economic growth performance based on the GDP, gross domestic product, which is not even sustainable, which is not even acceptable, because it only looks at the economic aspect, right? But we need to measure, we need to think about the environment, we need to think about the social situation, the level of vulnerability, welfare, losses. All these things we need to take into the discussion. We need to calculate these things, right? So therefore, these the GDP is not enough to capture all these development needs or to measure the development, right? It needs some further, broader perspectives, indicators, right? Yes. So sustainability. In 1992, especially, Professor Mohan Murasing explained about this sustainomics, and there he explained about balanced, inclusive green growth, including social aspect and environmental aspects to green economy to the sustainability concept, and then inclusive development. Inclusive development includes inclusive governance, well-being. The focus of my keynote, my speech, right? So inclusive governance talks about social inclusiveness, relational inclusiveness, and ecological inclusiveness. So under this inclusive development, we talk about well-being as well, right? And here it says that the nicer scenarios, we are talking about the health, we need to talk about work, and we need to talk about the households, family relationship. All these should be harmonized, right? Harmonized, and one holistic approach, not a piecemeal approach, right? That driving towards the sustainability, towards happiness, towards satisfaction and well-being. So therefore, we need to ensure sustainable consumption. So what is this sustainable consumption? Sustainable consumption is important. We to maintain the sustainability of the planet, right? We need to ensure this circular carbon economy. I know if we divide all our transactions, all our dealing, everything, food, we are dealing with three main sectors, right? Food sector, energy sector, resource use sector. It's true, we cannot apply this circular economy to food sector. We cannot apply this circular economy to energy sector. These are not circular, but still we can apply this circular carbon economy to the resource use sector and circular carbon economy to other sectors as well. Then we need to focus about this balanced inclusive green growth, where the social, environmental and economic aspects we need to maintain in a balanced way. And then we need to look at the ecological footprint, right? Ecological footprint and biological capacity. And then we need to ensure a very good sustainable approach with respect to production technology, equality and transcending stakeholder boundaries to ensure cooperatives in the green economy build essential ethical and moral values among youth, because we need to enhance the awareness, and we need to change the attitude of our youth, because they are the future. They are our future. They are the present of the planet, right? So therefore, we need to focus on these things. And I mentioned that this also from Professor Mohan Munasing's slide. So inequality is increasing. At present, 85% of the world income is consumed by richest 20%. Poorest 20% is consuming only 1.4%. Such a inequality. We need to overcome this. So how can we overcome? We need a very integrated approach. We need to integrate private enterprises, public sector, government, state institutes, civil communities, CSOs. We need to include all these three people, all these three sectors together. Right? Because government per se cannot go alone. The government cannot push everyone to go for green growth, go for sustainability. No. The private sector, they need to support this because they lead the production. Civil community, they are the consumers. So their consumption should be sustainable. They must know that wastage, we need to reduce wastage. We need to reuse the materials we have. And life is not material things. Life is also there are other components for the satisfaction, for a better life, for the well-being, happiness, relationships. We need to acknowledge these things. Therefore, we need to identify issues. What are the issues? What are the challenges? Then all these three sectors, all these three components, they need to mobilize their resources and then implement solutions. Implement solutions in an incorporated, integrated manner, not piecemeal approach. And then not only modern knowledge, not only digitalized knowledge, but indigenous knowledge. Indigenous knowledge is important because why? Now we have a very good life. We have a very good life, thankful to our ancestors. But will our grandchildren will thank us? No, they blame us. They blame us because we are thriving well because of the consumption pattern of our ancestors. Since our consumption pattern is so disastrous, so adverse, negative, bringing negative consequences, our grandchildren will pay the cost. Therefore, we must value the indigenous knowledge. We need to bring the sustainable points, sustainable teaching lessons from their knowledge. And the sovereignty. Each country must have sovereignty and other countries must respect that. It will reduce these violence, conflicts, wars and invasions. Selflessness. We don't think about others. We don't think that we will die one day. We are dying one day. We don't think. We live as eternal people. That's why this much of grabbing, greediness make our grave. So another thing is respect for nature. We call the nature is our mother. She creates everything and we are thriving upon her creations. Therefore, we need to respect the nature. So these are fundamentals. So also I want to bring food for thoughts from G20, which I'm chairing, the Task Force 3. So we need to consume and produce sustainability, promote circular economy, and maintain rural-urban balance, and nurture traditional and local knowledge systems, promote systemic transformation, and need to support and mainstream new well-being measurements framework that will go beyond GDP. So it means that we need to incorporate ecological, biodiversity, relational, multidimensional human development indicators. Well-being indicators, so innovative business models toward green growth, corporate practices towards sustainability, social inclusion, care work, trusteeships, good governance, policy advocacy and gender disparities. We need to avoid gender disparities, equality, freedom and capability. So these things we need to pay our attention. So this is the relationship. This shows the relationship between inclusive development and sustainable development. I want to give very briefly about these approaches. So in the sustainable development approach, we talk about society, environment and economy. In contrast, in inclusive development, you can Google about inclusive development, right? We are talking about social inclusivity. No one left behind and reach the least behind person at first. That is the concept, right? So social inclusiveness, ecological inclusiveness and relational inclusiveness. So under this we are talking about well-being, governance, gender and the climate change, environment, resource depletion. So all these things we talk about under this inclusive development and inclusive growth without excluding none. So these are the main three components of inclusive development and social well-being. The most important. Remember and think what you want most. The car, the television, the laptop or your family. What you want to live a happy life and attitudes, your ideology. If you think all these are not enough, you are always worried. But if you think that I have what I want, I can have a good life even with these things, you feel happy, isn't it? So the life is not only material things, only material well-being, housing, education, vehicles, land, wealth. This is only one part of our life. We have our children, we have our neighbors, we have friends, kinship. They are really important. They matter, isn't it? So relational well-being is really important and equality. You feel happy if you are discriminated because of your race, because of your caste. No, equality. You cannot buy these things. So relational well-being, cognitive or subjective well-being, the happiness, satisfaction, freedom. We need these things, not discriminated. Our ideology, perspective, trust, safety. So all these three aspects are important for well-being. But I know all these cannot measure, but can consider. You know, Bhutan is developing well-being index, happiness index. Netherlands, they are talking about my co-promoter, Professor Nikki Pao, Joyita Gupta, they are talking about well-being economy. And even Costa Rica, they are talking about well-being. So now countries are talking about well-being approach to replace GDP. So economic motivated GDP with well-being. And I would say, rather than sustainable development, we'll think about inclusive development. Yes, that's the most, that is my message. The GDP, which is more economic centric, and we must have more holistic and a broader concept like well-being.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dulanti, for sharing with us around the need for sustainable development for the well-being purpose of for the better future of our life. Okay. Now we come up to the question and answer sessions, and from the audience, I'll allow 3 questions, one for each speaker. Yeah.
Thank you. I am Latifa Fekri from Aquatic Fisheries Management. I want to ask to Prof. Haliza about diversity conservation. I look from your slide. I want to ask about fish migratory conservation. Example, there is a species spawning in subtropics area but grow in tropics area. How about it? Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I have question for Mr. Dr. Avinas Pawar about assessment economy. Maybe, okay. As we know, India has a social mobility, which can have an impact on people's life. Social mobility is one important tool that helps get to the root of the problem and focus efforts on achieving long-term equality. Following the employment and unemployment survey by the National Sample Survey Office of India, we found that the role of education is not important in generating job mobility in India, whereas social background plays an important role in determining one's employment. So, how can the influence of social mobilization, technology, and digital transformation help micro, small, and medium enterprises in India improve their financial performance and overcome global challenges? Thank you very much.
What happened in Indonesia for micro and middle companies in they are facing bankruptcy and risk, yeah, as the effect of global trading and digitalization era. So through the social media platform like TikTok Shop, and for the last 2 months in Indonesia, we have to ban the TikTok Shop to protect the micro and middle companies, because society is easy to get the cheap and very effective by the online shop, and on the other side that micro and middle companies also just don't get sales compared to the online shop platform. Is it happen also in Indonesia, in India? Sorry. Thank you, Dr. Pawar.
Thank you for two questions. I think both are very interesting questions. And I'm sure I can give a lot of insights on both of the aspects. The first question relates to the higher degree of vulnerability in MSMEs, especially as MSMEs are generating a lot of employment. But as the data of Electronic Bureau of India, it suggests that in spite of having an employment, as you have rightly pointed out, that even if there are jobs, there are not right people to get those jobs. Why? Because there is a skills gap. Most importantly, the education does not suffice the skills of people, and which is very important part to get the employment. It doesn't mean that if I'm educated means I have skills. It's very necessary to have a skill-based education to generate more employment in MSMEs, because MSMEs are largely driven by skills and not just by the knowledge. So skill development is an important area to be addressed. And subsequently, to deal with that issue, the Indian government started with something called as Skills India, which is a movement to help people acquire skills through various programs, various trainings, workshops, all those facilities were provided by the government to help people acquire those skills. And I'm sure, over the period of time, people will get those skills, and, that will flow all the employment possibilities in all sectors of the economy. Hope that addresses your question. And secondly, I think you talked about the digital media and the micro, small and medium enterprises. So, of course, today digital media is an influencing element, and every business is now coping up with digital transformation. So, especially in the Indian context, we are integrating a lot of artificial intelligence or machine learning, robotic manufacturing in bigger organizations. But in case of smaller companies, we still use a lot of traditional technology. So there is a lot of gap between technological integration in larger firms and micro, small and medium enterprises. So which also requires extensive support of the government to have those technologies to help their businesses, and further it will also revitalize them to do the business in a better way. Today, a lot of free online platforms are available, like Amazon, where even a manufacturer could get associated with the Amazon and they can sell their product services there. A lot of government has also created an e-marketplace where all the MSMEs could register their products and services, and which can be freely marketed by the government. So, which is a government initiative to help the micro, small and medium enterprise. So that's the context from the Indian perspective. Hope that addresses yours. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Pawan. I hope that answer your question. Ibu.
Regarding the question, in order to conserve and preserve our environment, including the biodiversity, we need to solve the very basic thing. The first one is we must make sure that all the stakeholders which involved with environment is know what is knowledge. They have basic knowledge. As an example, what is environment? Why environment is important? That one refers to the question, the biodiversity. Why we need to protect environment? So we need to make sure that this very basic thing is can be understood by the stakeholder. The second one is we must make sure that we educate all the stakeholders, including the communities. The education must be formal or informal. So for me, the informal one is also have contribution. As example, the local wisdom. And how, as example, how the Aborigines people protect the environment, maybe we can apply in modern era. And the third one, we must make sure that technology is also contribute. Because we have many constraints in order to preserve our environment, as example, to make sure that our biodiversity is in proper, in pristine one. So maybe we can use the drone or maybe some of other IT technologies to monitor the biodiversity to make sure that we can take some action if the population is endangered. The final one is maybe we can work together, as I explained, integrated approach, interdisciplinary approach, which all the stakeholders, including government, the private, the businesses, maybe have sit together, discuss, and maybe taken some very successful action to make sure that biodiversity can be survived. This is some example how we can manage it in conserving the environment, including the biodiversity. Thank you.
Well, that's the end of the plenary session, and the next session will be continued at 2 p.m. after having break and lunch. And for all of the presenters, please be informed that there have been changes to the room for parallel session. Originally Cattleya room changed to Tulip room, and Jasmine room changed to Amaryllis room. Thank you and see you at 2 p.m. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.